guys, we are going to play around with the Hello Charmer Boxycharm palette. And I'm going to give you a backstory in a quick second, but I know you guys were asking me, so many people were sending messages asking, where is premium? Mija, I don't know. I don't know what happened to premium. I don't know if I'm getting premium. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. That's all I know. I have no tracking. I have no emails. I have nothing. I know you guys want to see the unboxing. The moment I get it, if I get it, it will go up. If I don't, I'm so sorry. But you guys love the content where I show you guys tutorials featuring products received in Boxycharm, and that is exactly what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna prep my eyes with the Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas in Fair. And then, oh, by the way, the Hair AF serum that I used, where is it? It was on my other desk, but this product here that I use for my hair growth, and it actually freaking works. I did a whole video giving you guys details on what it is that I'm doing so that my hair has been growing and all that jazz. That is currently on sale for 55% off. So if you need backups because you absolutely love yours, this is the best time to do it. If you wanted to try it but it was kind of too pricey for you, this is a great time to snag the Hair AF. I'm gonna use my sponge to blend out the clean canvas. I feel like it does a better job than a brush at this point. So the other day I was asking you guys what kind of videos you guys would be interested in. Are there any particular palette that you guys want to see more of? I know that you guys get a lot of palettes in beauty boxes, and as a makeup artist I show you guys little tips and tricks, and then we move on with the show. However, you guys want to see more and more, and that is what I'm going to do for you. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you are subscribed. I get a lot of beauty boxes in PR, and so if you love beauty boxes and or love brand new product launches and that kind of thing, this is a channel you're gonna absolutely love because I teach you how to play around with your products. You guys said you didn't care what palette I use. I was like, okay, what is one palette that if I could just and go in and play with it, which one would it be? And it would be this one. And so in my mind, I was like, this has got to be extremely, overly, extremely expired because this baby is old, right? In my mind, this came out 5 years ago. At least that's what it felt like. Pero no, mija, it turns out this launched March of 2020, and it was almost a bit of a blur. I'm gonna go ahead and go into a cup of Joe. I'm gonna top it in versus out, and then I'm gonna apply that on the crease out here. I'm gonna focus it mainly on like the middle and then the outer portion. I'm gonna blend it back and forth. So yeah, in my mind, it was like 5 years ago, and I was like, wow, this palette is so old. But I wanted to kind of like give you guys the proper feedback, and I wanted to give it a really good shot, because at the end of the day, if the palette is old and it expired, oftentimes they will A, either smell a little funny, or B, not perform as well as they did at first, and then C, a little bit of both. So I was like, okay, when did this actually launch? So when I give detail and remind people so we can reminisce, you know, I can give the proper feedback. Mija, first of all, one of the top videos that popped up was my video, like my initial video with the green on the eye using this palette. That's one. Two, it said March of 2020, and I was like, wow, it's so like it's a blur. By the way, I did bring it forward, but notice that I really didn't bring a lot of product. I wanted to concentrate most of the product out here. I'm just like talking. But at the same time, that is when COVID was like big, where they were like, okay, you know, people need to quarantine, masks, stay away from one another. It was like COVID stage 1. We were all stuck at home, and there was so much going on. I think most of us had the news on 24/7. So the palette was amazing. It was fun. And then we kind of moved on from it. At least in my mind, that's kind of like what it feels like. But then I remember that they started launching this palette once again months later. And then they were selling it over on one of the Boxy shops. And people were going crazy trying to purchase it, and then actually were able to purchase it, which is awesome. So I know a lot of people like own this palette. The palette is really pretty. It is diverse. And what I like is that this was a palette that was dedicated to charmers. It was dedicated to not only subscribers, obviously, so it's very reminiscent. Like, we know if you're like an OG, you know exactly what all of this means. Spoiler, luxe, full size, exclusive, charmer, unboxing, sneak peek, premium, pop-up, cup of Joe. And then when you close it, you had all the Facebook forums and or Instagram accounts that were dedicated to everything Boxy. And I remember people were upset. They were like, well, I don't see your name on the palette. Where's Jody? And I was like, but I don't have a forum and I don't have a Facebook. I do YouTube videos, and this palette wasn't necessarily dedicated to YouTubers. It was dedicated to the Facebook groups that help create a family when it came to like charmers. And what's crazy is a lot of these accounts are no longer in existence. They've either changed the names or changed their direction, and it's sad. I'm gonna grab the Ofra Pro 03 because I think this brush is gonna be amazing for this next shade. It's an eyeshadow brush. It is a flat brush, as you guys can see. It's like flat, but it's not super dense. She's flexible, so she's gonna pick up a really nice amount of product, and we're gonna go into full size. The last look I created a long time ago was with the shade Charmer, and that shade performed so beautifully, so I wanted to do something a little different. But yeah, you guys, I remember how excited I was to have received the palette, and because I got it in PR, I was one of the first people to actually get it. And when I posted about it and showed it to you guys, so many of you ran and made sure you snagged the subscription because it's just like a really pretty palette. It's a beautiful palette, and I told you guys already I would never get rid of her. I have her and she's here to stay. I also, like, because it became such a hit, I made sure that I went onto the shops and I purchased like 2 to 3 more, and then I also had active subscriptions, so the extras that I had gotten I gave away, and so many people were happy with their palettes. What's cool about this shade is that it's not a full-on duochrome. This is before duochromes were a thing, but I feel like it gives you duochrome vibes just because of the shift that it has, and I really like how the formula just kind of sticks together, but it's still blendable. At this point, as of March of this year, will be 3 years old, so she's an old palette, and technically speaking, if she wasn't properly stored or anything like that, it shouldn't be used. Mine has always been in regulated temperatures. I've only used it on myself, and then I thought I have alcohol spray, so when I'm done with my palettes, I tend to kind of like spray them if I know that I'm not gonna be dipping into them, you know, for a little bit. That way they'll last a little longer and they won't go bad as fast. I'm gonna grab a fluffy brush. This one is a no-namer because she's like probably one of these Amazon finds from years and years ago. She has a pelito that just did a thing, and then I'm going to go along the edge and blend around. I do wish though they would have put a much deeper shade into her. We have all evolved when it comes to makeup, and you know, credit to beauty box, because with beauty boxes we have had access to way more makeup for a price point that we, you know, typically wouldn't spend, because if you were to buy most product on their own, you're gonna pay a lot more money. Like this palette, apparently I believe it was like 40 bucks, which is kind of crazy. Although it's beautiful, it's kind of crazy. And so with access to beauty boxes, we have managed to have more product that we could have imagined to play around with and get creative with. But yeah, as the years go on, we evolve, and then we know what we like, know what we need, know what we want. And so I would have wanted and needed this shade to have been, or maybe even this one of these two, to have been a deep gray or black, in my opinion. You see, because now they have me going into a whole nother palette, which is fine. It is completely fine, but I would have loved to just do a one palette, kind of like one and done it situation. So yeah, now they have me going into a whole nother palette to get a black, just so that I can like tap her out here, because the black is what's going to make this look even more amazing, because it's gonna wrap around this shimmer shade. Super important though, I went on to my community page, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not, because that'll give you access to like any updates that I provide over on my community page. But I was asking you guys what palettes you guys wanted to see, and you said you didn't care as long as it was like makeup tutorials. So of course I'm gonna focus on palettes that are featured in beauty boxes, because you know that means that you guys already have them and you can just get to playing, and it's not like you have to go and spend extra money just so that you can play around with makeup and kind of like recreate a look that you fall in love with. However, I will be featuring little palettes here and there where they were sent to me in PR and that I am just getting around to playing with, and you guys know I will let you know whether or not they're worth the money or just kind of like skip on it. The same brush I use to kind of diffuse the edge at the top, I'm gonna go like this with like holding the end of the brush. So the first step for me is diffusing this, because I don't want it to get super messy. And then the brush that I used for that crease shade, I'm gonna go right onto that and add a little more, because that's gonna warm the area up. I'm gonna add a little bit of black liner to the waterline, directly on the waterline, bring it all the way in. I'm gonna grab my powder puff. I am going to kind of tap whatever's left on the puff of like my setting powder. Clean this area out because we're gonna finish off the eye fairly quickly. So if there's any fallout or anything like that, we wanna pick it up. By the way, I feel like it performed really, really well. I didn't get any fallout, which is amaze balls for being like an older palette. And then I am going to grab a shader brush, dip into Cup of Joe with the very tip, and then Unboxing to make my own shade. And I'm gonna smudge that directly on top of the black. You really only need a little bit, so you don't have to worry about getting fallout or anything like that, because you just wanna like take the tip and dip it onto both colors and then smudge that eyeliner. Let's add some mascara to the top and bottom lashes. If you're a mascara girl, you're not into falsies, that's perfectly fine. You can skip the next step, but I am gonna get off real quick, pop some falsies on, and be right back. All right, you guys, I paired the look with a really pretty peach nude luster, and here it is. I think it turned out really pretty. It looks blue though, right? Is it me? Although it's not an actual blue. Look at the palette. It's like it's a midnight purple. It looks blue, but then again, I think that's the charm of the shade, that it looks one way and then it's a whole nother one. I think she still performed really well, so I encourage you, if you still have your palette and she's still in pretty good condition, you might as well just whip her out and play with her. I had a lot of fun. Also, I know this would go for $40. I did see some people online, I googled the palette, some people are selling it. I don't know if it's used, if it's new, if it's any good. I would say be very cautious if you're gonna purchase one of these palettes from random places online. But you tell me, do you think Boxycharm should bring her back? Do you guys want backups? Do you want to replace the one that you have? Or did you miss out on it, and now that you're a charmer, you're like, man, that palette is stunning and I want to own it? Do you think Boxycharm should bring it back? I think they should bring this baby back. But make sure you let me know down below, what do you guys think? Do you like the look? Are you gonna recreate it? If you do, and then you post on Instagram, make sure that you tag me so that I can like repost you. Make sure you leave a comment telling me what palette you guys want me to play with next. Remember to make sure you are subscribed, hit the notification bell, and hit the like button for me. It really, really helps me out. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.